This is Ramblin' Man, Moto and Drone. What is today? I've lost track. It's today Friday. We got 40-mile-an-hour wind gust going on. So I'm embarrassed to admit what I'm about to say is that my JES custom wind deflectors that mount on the fork came today. I installed those on my Super Chief Limited, I don't know, a year and a half ago. And, you know, you had to take apart like the light assembly or something. But I did it, no problem. On the Indian Springfield, the bike I'm on right now, I had asked on the Indian discussion boards, or read through the discussion board of other people that have done this, because I was curious if you had to remove the nacelle. And I bought the JES because the instructions seemed a lot easier than they looked on the Indian Springfield, and the JES lets you get a little more wind than the Indian. And the reason that's a positive is with this air-cooled engine, it doesn't get quite as hot. The Indian discussion board people said, hey, I got my wind deflectors from JES, and 10 minutes later I had them on and I was hitting the road. And that was not an uncommon refrain. I had messaged the owner of the company through the website and asked if I had to remove that, but nope, 4 bolts out and back in, easy peasy. That's what his email said. Well, I was recording the project, and after about the 2.5 hour mark, I cut off the recording. My wife is my helper on some of these things, and she compliments my weaknesses. But one of my challenges is the doctors tell me I have some arthritis, as Fred Sanford would say. I got the arthritis. It's mild, but it definitely cramps and hurts in my knuckles and joints or something. But I do the best I can, and other times it's just, you know, she looks at something a little different than I do. So she came out there and wasted a bunch of her time. And what happened was I got this side on with no problem. Well, I shouldn't say no problem. It was, I could not get these holes lined up, and while you didn't have to remove the entire nacelle, it's held together with the windshield brackets, which are also the riding light brackets, and you have to push them all in together and line them up. And I recall when my guy that does some work on my bike told me that was the toughest part of the job, was just getting it all back together. So we got that side in, and once we got the screws lined up and fed in, we were able to get that one in, no problem. We come to the other side. The top one will go in, no problem. This bottom one, on this side of the bike, we couldn't get it in. We tried everything. I mean, I'm not exaggerating, for at least 3 hours. And we only took maybe one break. I hate to take breaks when I'm working on projects. I just want to get it done. My wife likes to take a breather, come back. So I kept working, and finally I had to take a break. But it'll grip and screw in. And I think, you know, my theory was we were actually digging off the hole, maybe even stripping part of the thread, but we couldn't tell for sure. The bolt itself looks fine, looks straight, looks good. We tried to loosen all 4 of them and then go back and do the tough one, get that one. That didn't work. We hit a point where we both just had enough. And so I had planned to knock that out in 30 minutes. I gave myself 30 minutes, and I had another small project I want to do. And as I often say on my videos, simple 10-minute projects for everyone else have turned into an ordeal. And I see all these YouTubers and just people on comments saying something took them 10 minutes. And I'm like, man, my wife and I are both college graduates, think we're pretty smart. You know, we're not the smartest, but we're not the dumbest, you know. And we end up in this stuff, and you just want to scream. You're calmly trying to work through it all, and we couldn't get it. So the guy that does some work for me, you know, he's like 40 minutes from my house, but it's a good excuse to go and ride. But he generally doesn't do any work while I wait. He always wants me to drop it off, and I sometimes trailer it. But my wife offered to just let me ride the bike over, so at least I get in a little ride. Now the downside is I took the light on the right is going to be bouncing just slightly because the bracket's not secure. And I took a little test ride, and I'm fine with that. I don't know if you guys can tell, the wind is gusting. I'm hoping to avoid any. Last night it was getting up to 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So my guy will probably be able to do this in a cinch and see what I'm doing wrong. You know, when I'm trying something, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, I ask questions on the forums, and then I get my wife involved, and sometimes she'll come in and see something I've missed. And, you know, sometimes what she's working on does that to me. I'll come in and, hey, have you looked at it this way? And Eureka, it gets done. And this one today was not one of those days. I felt like Big Al on Happy Days. Yeah. At least I get to do some ride on this, what was otherwise a beautiful day. Little windy. I'll be so glad when these winds calm down. You know, one, on the motorcycle, especially on this highway I got to get on, you know, you're going 70 miles an hour with 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts coming at you. It's not pleasant. But also, I can't really fly my drone with confidence. It'll fly in some of these. I sold my big drone that probably had more tolerance for it, but I just wasn't bringing it with me anywhere because it was too large to fit on the bike, unless I used it as like luggage, like I strapped it on. And you know, I didn't want to leave this expensive drone strapped on when I just ran in to go grab food somewhere or something. Whereas with a small drone, I can put it in the locked saddlebag. So now my wife and I are both wasting time riding 40 minutes each way to drop this bike off, all because I can't figure out how to screw a bolt back in. That's so frustrating. And I'm hoping I didn't strip something at this point. Whenever I admit to some of my inabilities on these motorcycles to do stuff, some of the YouTube commenters act as if we all came out of the womb knowing how to do this stuff. Yeah. You should give up. You're an idiot. You know, the internet makes keyboard warriors pretty confident. And sometimes I share this stuff to get pointers from other people. Sometimes it's let people you're not alone in trying to tackle something new. And I've done a lot of this stuff myself. Stuff I never thought I'd be doing. You know, for example, I remember my dad would often say, if we brought up a computer,
"Hello, Mr. Fenneman. You want to buy a computer? No? Why not?"
Say he ain't got no interest in that. He doesn't want to learn it. That's for the kids. And that was it. And he's in his 80s now, and has taken up learning how to use a computer. He's done that for a few years now, and to him that means watching YouTube videos, leaving some comments on YouTube videos, doing email. That's stuff that you take for granted, but for somebody who's never done it before, especially in their 80s, it's very intimidating, and there's a learning curve to it. And you got to admire people taking chances and stepping out of their comfort zone, which is what I'm doing when I do you don't have to admire me for it, but it's what I'm doing with some of the stuff on a motorcycle. It's something to challenge the brain to stay active, but I freely admit I get to a point where I'm so frustrated with it, because it's like, man, I'm a grown man, and the only thing between me and finishing this project was getting in the 4th bolt. I'm like, my wife and I were talking, like, how did we get to this point that we can't get in a bolt? Like, this is unbelievable. We were pushing the nacelle around, we were loosening and doing it in a different order. We put the bike on a wheel chock to set it straight for part of the project, give that a shot. We had tried to, like, when we did the second side, just to start with one of them and not disconnect both, which is what I tried to do myself on the first side, and then it just popped out. God loosened it more than I thought. So here I am admitting my failure on it, and we'll see what my God tells me. I have a feeling that maybe I stripped something, but it really felt like I was hitting the bike frame like some steel rather than going into the threaded hole. But I just can't see how we were doing it. It seemed the top went in with no problem, and it looked like we would have the hole lined up, and like maybe we are going at a downward angle when it should be going up. So I tried to make sure. I'm sure you guys in the comments will have some ideas, but unfortunately it'll be too late. It'll help me the next time around. Now, the other funny thing is I decided to Google the problem, and wouldn't you know it, that when I Googled the problem, my very own question from like a year ago was the top hit on Google. And on that one, it was almost an identical issue on the Super Chief, except the issue with that one was it wouldn't tighten at all. And sure enough, I had stripped one, and I needed a new bolt, and they had to do something on the inside like a helicoil. This one's a little different problem. It tightens real tight. It just tightens way too early, and it's meeting resistance, and it feels like it's digging in. Like, I actually thought maybe there was something we did wrong with the gasket, or not the gasket, the little plastic, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a washer, but I'll call it the washer. I thought maybe we were doing something wrong with the positioning of it. Then I'm like, well, maybe there's something that got in there, and that wasn't it. But because we couldn't tighten it, the new wind deflector or anything else, even when we tried it without the wind deflector, we couldn't get it back just to the way it was. 10 minutes, my butt. You know, the thing that, you know, we were talking about, I tell her, it's like, you know, I had a whole afternoon planned, and I said, look, I'm gonna bang this project out in 30 minutes, and I'm gonna go test ride it, see how it feels. And not only did we waste 3 hours, we didn't even finish it. Then we got to pay somebody, and he doesn't charge me a lot for stuff like this, but still, this was a Tyson chicken plant that, along with other locations, closed, and meant a whole lot of lost jobs. I can't remember how many were lost or what the peak was. I want to say 460. I might be wrong about that number. They had one case when I'm riding down here where some animal rights freaks were standing out here protesting All that did was want to make me go to Chick-fil-A. Right here, I want to make sure I'm visible to that car that's waiting. You know, you can hide behind a car, but you don't want to not be seen at all. So you own the whole lane, so be sure to use it. Man, FedEx man ain't gonna stop with no stop sign, is he? That's interesting. I must be one of those independent contractors.